From the street, Elysium Heights appears as any other apartment complex, a stately, if somewhat dated, structure nestled into the urban landscape. Its brick facade, grand entrance, and well-tended but modest gardens suggest a quiet existence, a typical slice of city life. No hint of the extraordinary, the impossible, lies within its walls. Yet, for those who call Elysium Heights home, a subtle, disquieting reality began to emerge. A silent anomaly, lurking within the building's very core. It began subtly. A whisper. A feeling. Central to this emerging strangeness is the building's single, antique elevator. Its brass fixtures gleam, its mahogany panels polished to a dull sheen. A relic of an earlier era, it carries residents up and down, a daily ritual. For decades, it served without incident, a dependable mechanism. But then, residents began to notice. Not malfunctions, not mechanical failures, but something far more unsettling. A feeling of spatial disorientation. A slight jolt that wasn't quite mechanical. And, eventually, something else entirely. Mrs. Albright, a resident of floor 7 for over 30 years, was among the first to articulate the feeling. A familiar trip from the lobby to her apartment. Yet, on this particular Tuesday, something shifted. A blink, perhaps. A momentary lapse in awareness. She arrived at her floor, but the journey felt different. Shorter, or perhaps longer. A fleeting sensation that she dismissed as tiredness. Just a momentary disorientation, she told herself. A trick of the mind. But it wasn't a trick. Soon, these fleeting sensations escalated. Residents reported minor time discrepancies. Mr. Henderson, heading to work, swore he'd left at precisely 7:45 a.m. His watch, however, read 7:52 a.m. upon exiting the lobby. A 7-minute gap he couldn't account for. The elevator ride felt normal, perhaps a touch smoother than usual. But the clock, it seemed, had defied him. Small, seemingly inconsequential shifts. Yet, cumulatively, they began to paint a picture of something deeply, profoundly wrong. The elevator wasn't just moving between floors. It was moving through time itself. Then came the visual anomalies. A flash on the indicator panel. Not 6 or 7, but C7B. Or sometimes G2. Flaws that simply did not exist within the building's architectural blueprints. A quick blink, and the number would vanish, replaced by the correct floor. Passengers would rub their eyes, questioning their perception. Was it a glitch? An old circuit flickering? But multiple accounts, from different residents, on different days, began to converge. These phantom flaws were more than electrical aberrations. They were glimpses into something else. Something utterly foreign. Initially, individuals felt isolated in their experiences. Embarrassed to admit seeing a floor 13.5 or losing 5 minutes on a 2-floor trip. But as the incidents accumulated, whispers turned into shared anecdotes in the lobby, in the laundry room. Residents realized they weren't alone. A collective unease settled over Elysium Heights. The elevator, once a mundane utility, became a source of quiet apprehension. Every ride carried a subtle current of tension. What would this journey bring? What new impossible number would flicker into view? Complaints were, of course, filed. Calls to building management became more frequent. The response was consistent: it's an old building. These things happen. Maintenance crews were dispatched. They checked the wiring, calibrated the sensors, inspected the hydraulic fluid. Every diagnostic yielded the same result: the elevator was functioning perfectly within its parameters. No mechanical faults. No electrical shorts. The official line was clear. There was nothing amiss. But residents knew otherwise. They lived the daily enigma. The building was denying its own strange reality. the initial curiosity began to morph into genuine fear for some. What if a phantom floor wasn't just a flicker, but a destination? What if the lost minutes became lost hours? The unseen journeys, the slips in time, created a profound sense of vulnerability. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a loss of control. A feeling that the building itself held a secret, a will of its own. Every chime of the arriving elevator echoed with a new, unsettling question. Where exactly was it taking them today? And for how long? The collective apprehension finally solidified into action. A petition was circulated, signed by nearly 2/3 of the building's occupants, demanding a proper, external investigation. They detailed the lost time, the phantom floors, the unsettling sensation of displacement. It was no longer a matter of old building quirks. It was a serious, documented anomaly. The petition landed on the desk of city housing authorities, forcing a response beyond simple maintenance checks. The mystery of Elysium Heights was about to move beyond whispered rumors. City authorities, initially skeptical, dispatched a team of independent structural engineers and elevator specialists. They arrived armed with advanced diagnostic tools, confident they would uncover a mundane, albeit complex, mechanical issue. Their initial assessment confirmed what building management had claimed: no obvious faults. No loose wiring, no worn cables, no misaligned tracks. The elevator, by all conventional metrics, was sound. But the consistent reports from dozens of residents could not be easily dismissed. The experts would soon find their skepticism challenged by an invisible force. The investigative team decided on a comprehensive approach. They installed an array of specialized sensors throughout the elevator shaft and cabin: accelerometers, gyroscopes, precise chronometers, and magnetic field detectors. The goal was to establish a baseline of normal operation. Every movement, every sound, every microvibration was meticulously recorded. They rode the elevator themselves, multiple times, comparing their internal clocks to external, atomic timekeeping devices. They sought any deviation, any measurable anomaly that could explain the strange reports. The data began to accumulate. The initial data was baffling. For hours, the elevator performed flawlessly. Then, without warning, the sensors would register a fractional time discrepancy. A few seconds here, a minute there. The chronometers would briefly desynchronize from the atomic clock, only to snap back into alignment. Accelerometers showed a slight, inexplicable surge or dip that didn't correspond to the elevator's physical movement. It was contradictory. The elevator asterisk was asterisk acting normally, yet the instruments recorded subtle, impossible deviations. The laws of physics, it seemed, were being bent, if only momentarily. Crucially, the installed chronometers definitively confirmed the time gaps reported by residents. They were real. Not imagination, not faulty watches, but quantifiable lapses. A passenger would enter at 10 a.m., sensors would register movement for 15 seconds, but upon arrival, the time recorded would be 10 o'clock and 20 seconds a.m. A 5-second journey had consumed 20 seconds of objective time. This was the first undeniable proof. The building's elevator was indeed distorting the fabric of time, even if only in localized pockets. The mystery deepened. How could a mechanical device achieve this? High-definition cameras were installed, aimed at the indicator panel. For days, they recorded mundane journeys. Then, it happened. On a descent from floor 9, the panel flickered. For a split second, a crisp, clear 5-8 appeared before snapping back to C5. The camera had captured it. Undeniable visual proof of a non-existent flaw. This wasn't a hallucination. This wasn't a memory glitch. This was an objective, recorded event. The phantom flaws were not merely mental constructs, they were, in some fleeting capacity, manifesting. But how? And to what end? Initial theories leaned towards electromagnetic interference. Perhaps the building's old wiring, coupled with its proximity to power lines or an unknown underground anomaly, was creating localized EM fields that affected passenger perception and electronic systems. Magnetometers were deployed. They registered slight fluctuations, but nothing significant enough to explain such profound temporal and spatial distortions. The EM theory, while plausible for minor glitches, fell far short of accounting for phantom flaws and measurable time loss. The true cause remained elusive, shrouded in baffling data. Amidst the technical data, the human element remained crucial. The investigation team conducted in-depth interviews with dozens of residents. What emerged was a striking consistency in their accounts. The feeling of a lurch or jolt that wasn't mechanical. The sense of disorientation. The appearance of unusual floor numbers, often the same ones, 7B, 5A, G2, 13.5. The reports of time discrepancies, ranging from a few seconds to almost a full minute. This uniformity among unrelated individuals lent immense credibility to their claims. It wasn't mass hysteria. It was shared experience of an objective phenomenon. The internal security cameras, originally dismissed as too low resolution to capture anything useful, were re-examined. Specialized software was employed to enhance and stabilize the footage. What it revealed was chilling. During moments of recorded time disparity, the footage itself would show brief, almost imperceptible blips. A frame might be distorted, stretched, or briefly static. Sometimes, entire frames were missing, creating tiny, jarring jumps. These microgaps in the video corresponded precisely with the moments of temporal slippage. The elevator wasn't just affecting passengers, it was affecting reality itself within its confines. As conventional explanations failed, the investigative team began to entertain more speculative theories. Could the building sit on some kind of unique geological anomaly? A natural localized space-time distortion? Or was it something else entirely? Some spoke of quantum entanglement, a localized tear in the fabric of reality. These were not the typical discussions of structural engineers. But the evidence, the consistent data, the verifiable time gaps, and the captured phantom flaws, pushed them into uncharted territory. The elevator was becoming a gateway, not just to another floor, but perhaps another dimension. The team intensified its observations. They focused on specific elevator journeys, anticipating the anomalies. Researchers would ride the elevator repeatedly, equipped with portable sensors and cameras, attempting to induce or at least precisely document a phantom floor appearance or a significant time gap. They tried different speeds, different floor combinations. Was there a trigger? A specific sequence of button presses? Or was it entirely random? The building seemed to be playing a game of its own, revealing its secrets only on its own capricious terms. A frustrating dance between observation and enigma. After weeks of exhaustive, frustrating trials, a pattern finally began to emerge, almost by accident. An investigator, Dr. Aries Thorne, noticed something crucial. All the significant anomalies, the time gaps, the phantom flaws, the security footage distortions occurred only when the elevator was in motion. When it was stationary, waiting at a floor, or when maintenance was being performed, the readings were perfectly normal. The spatial and temporal distortion ceased. It wasn't the building itself, or its location. It was the dynamic state of the elevator. The act of transit itself. This was the breakthrough. When the elevator was static, its floor indicators were accurate, its internal chronometers aligned with external time. There was no spatial warping, no strange EM fluctuations. It was a perfectly ordinary elevator. But the moment it began its ascent or descent, reality within its confines would subtly shift. The transition from static to dynamic state seemed to unlock an unknown property, a hidden variable. The question then pivoted: what was it about the motion of this specific elevator that caused such profound effects? The physical act of movement was the trigger. With this new hypothesis, the team designed controlled experiments. They ran the elevator repeatedly, empty, with a full complement of sensors and high-speed cameras. They programmed specific floor sequences. The goal was to isolate the phenomenon, to observe its inception and disappearance in real time. The results were consistent. Every time the elevator began to move, the chronometers would subtly desynchronize. The magnetic fields would ripple. The spatial sensors would detect fleeting, almost immeasurable distortions in the very space of the shaft. It was a repeatable, if still inexplicable, effect. And then, the moment arrived. During a slow ascent from the ground floor, a high-speed camera trained on the shaft recorded it. Not on the panel, but within the shaft itself. As the elevator car moved between the 6th and 7th floor, a brief, shimmering distortion appeared, almost like a heat haze, in the space where no floor should be. For a fraction of a second, the sensors registered a solid, albeit transient, structure. A phantom floor, not just indicated, but physically materializing mid-travel. It was the visual confirmation they had been searching for. The floors existed, but only in transit. The implications were profound. These weren't non-existent floors in the conventional sense. They were transient manifestations, brought into being by the elevator's motion, like ripples on a pond. The elevator wasn't simply moving past them, it was actively creating them as it traversed the shaft. These temporary floors existed for only a fleeting moment, just long enough to be registered by the sensors, to appear on the indicator, or for a passenger to momentarily feel a jolt as the elevator brushed against this temporary pocket of altered reality. A unique physics was at play. The time gaps, then, were a secondary effect. The act of creating these transient floors, these temporary pockets of space-time, required a momentary borrowing or stretching of local time. When the elevator encountered or created one of these phantom floors, the temporal fabric around it would briefly warp. Passengers experienced this as a time gap. It wasn't the elevator stealing time, it was displacing it, momentarily, as it navigated these newly formed, fleeting architectural additions. The core mechanism was spatial, with temporal consequences. A complex dance of dimensions. The mechanism was now understood. The elevator, when in motion, creates transient floors, and these creations cause localized time distortions. But the how only led to a deeper why. Why Elysium Heights? Was this an intentional design? A feature, not a bug? Research into the building's history uncovered an eccentric architect, Elias Thorne, known for his esoteric philosophies on space and consciousness. Rumors persisted that the building's original design incorporated unusual materials or unconventional construction techniques. Had Thorne, in his ambition, stumbled upon a way to manipulate reality itself? Local legends, once dismissed as folklore, suddenly gained new weight. Tales of the building being erected on a nexus point, a unique geological convergence of energy. Or that its foundation incorporated rare, perhaps even charged, minerals. Some whispered of a hidden chamber beneath the building, radiating an unknown influence. Was the elevator's specific design, its materials, acting as a catalyst, amplifying a pre-existing anomaly inherent to the land itself? The answers remained elusive, trapped in history, veiled in speculation. No definitive proof of intentional design or a nexus was found, yet the phenomenon persisted. Today, the elevator at Elysium Heights continues its peculiar dance. The investigative team concluded their study, presenting their findings, baffling to the public, revolutionary to those who witnessed the phenomenon firsthand. The residents have adapted. They understand now, in a way, what is happening. The elevator isn't broken, it's simply operating on a different set of rules. A set of rules unique to Elysium Heights. A living enigma, an architectural marvel, or perhaps, a cosmic accident. The why remains. The true source, a lingering question. A whisper in the metal shaft. Life at Elysium Heights has evolved. Residents now factor in potential time gaps when planning their schedules. They share stories of particularly long or short trips, of glimpses of new, unheard-of floor designations. Some even find a morbid fascination in it, a daily brush with the impossible. They've learned to accept the elevator's eccentricities. It's not just a way to move between floors, it's a journey into the unknown, an everyday reminder that reality, even within the confines of a seemingly ordinary apartment building, can be far more fluid and mysterious than we ever dared to imagine. The elevator continues to ascend and descend. Could Elysium Heights elevator be a singular anomaly? Or are there others, operating under similar, hidden laws, in buildings across the world, unnoticed? Does its motion truly create these ephemeral floors, or does it merely provide a momentary bridge to pre-existing, parallel spaces, just out of phase with our own? The answers remain elusive. The doors of the elevator open and close, transporting its passengers not just through vertical space, but through a unique pocket of temporal distortion, offering fleeting glimpses of architectural impossibilities. A silent, constant journey. The elevator at Elysium Heights stands as a profound testament to the unseen forces that may surround us. It's a reminder that even in the most mundane structures, the ordinary can harbor the extraordinary. For now, its secrets are partly revealed, yet largely remain. It is an artifact of wonder, an enigma that continues to operate daily, ferrying its passengers through known floors and, momentarily, into the unknown. The journey continues, always upward, always downward, always defying expectation. A silent guardian of time and space, forever in motion.